Well, if there was any team that I think could sort of switch up their draft style, maybe not on the fly, but on notice in between series, squad in, at least in this field. So, see what it is they have planned as they do themselves. That it does give them more team fight strength. Might be a little bit risky with the Piranha on the side, just up eyes onto the egg, but saw Ooze yesterday. He fantastic. That egg in the sweet spot. That back point still in the fight, but it's just that bit too far away to real. Similar Air Phoenix, then feel like it could.
Well, and not just that, they've got Phoenix Mars, of all things, you know? It's going to be really hard to actually take down this egg if they set it up correctly. And Batrider is not going to help you at all when it comes to taking it out. Of course, he might just be a scramble, just another right click to get in there. But I think that's where now a lot of that pressure, though, is going to shift onto your Mars player because, well, you don't really have all too much in terms of that big lockdown. You've got the Impale to throw out there, but this Phoenix, he's just going to provide the heal, a heal that four Zoomers desperately needed. That's what they love to play versus, and a heal that, of course, does that percentage HP burn. So heroes like the Train and the SK, they might feel a little bit more thin in this situation, but they definitely need to do a good job of protecting it here. And they also just need to be very careful about Hokori hitting those long range initiations. And of course, that's what SK and Mirana, it's exactly what they're going to be looking for. It's something that four Zoomers, as soon as they get hit up, don't really have an answer. We'll have to see itemization wise. This is a huge four staff game. I think we're going to see four staffs really picked up across the board for both teams. But that's where I think if four Zoomers, they can set up in a certain area of the map. And as we talk about with this TA, bring the opposing team over towards that Roche pit to get that advantageous team fight. Maybe it's a little bit too much for Hokori to bite off. And I think that's where in their final hero here for Yuma, they need someone who kind of does it all. They'd love an illusion carry. They'd love someone to flood units onto that TA, especially once the TA commits to a fight. But that's also where I think it's a little bit hard to tell what's going on here. I think it has to be a TA carry, but and I think Hokori agree with me. If four Zoomers really want to do some crazy swap up at the end of the draft here, they might just go for it.
Yeah, there is still that flexibility in play for them. In the meantime, final ban coming out in phase 3 as the Naga Siren will be the one taken away. And now, well, if you're Yuma, what exactly is the play here? You've got a lot of lockdown coming out from Hokori, but you do need that damage dealer. So, do they go for someone with a bit more damage, maybe sacrifice some durability at this point, ET, or are they just looking for another frontliner?
Honestly, in the back of my mind, I feel like they're going to pick PL, and I don't know if I like it because we haven't seen a PL really succeed so far in the tournament yet. And I think picking a hero with that low of a success rate is definitely scary here. Definitely if it puts you down a game. The same time, could also see them going for a hero pick like the Razor. And we've seen Razor versus TAs before. It gets a little bit ugly, especially around that TA's Deso timing, just where the Razor needs to go look for items that build from plate mail just so he has enough armor to actually stick on the TA. But I think that's also maybe a little bit more up Yuma's alley right now, where he gets to show up to a few more fights, be a little bit more aggressive, and especially just having a damage dealer. The only problem with that is they don't do Roche. But yeah,
Okay.
PL, simple pick. It helps
Yep.
him with egg, floods TA, not bad at all.
Yeah, and it comes with its concerns, as you were saying, but it feels like you're gonna get exactly what you want out of this hero, and those concerns can be largely addressed based on the itemization and largely looking at the rest of Hokori if they can sort of cover for him with some of the lockdown that they have available. So we'll see how much of a time Yuma gets to have here. Meanwhile, for four Zoomers, well, all that flexibility now, time to see if it pays off, right? Who is going where? What is going to be the final call for them? Hokori, we're fairly certain that four Zoomers are still looking for that mid option. We'll see if they're right, as four Zoomers really ran down the clock, but they are going to go in for that LC that you mentioned way back when we were talking about the Bat Rider, and honestly, that is a pretty solid pickup, because now Analog is down one of his biggest forms of initiation, unless you can guarantee that you know the Legion Commander's position, before you go in.
Yeah, and of course, they have this option available to them for the longest time here, but this also feels very for Zoomers esque. They've got their two healers, they've got their counter initiation now, and they have an offlaner that can actually put this PL under quite a lot of threat. Where the Mars, you're never sure if you're hitting the real PL with that staple, so you don't know if your damage is actually going to come through. Now, this does mean that well, it's going to be Mars versus Batrider on the mid lane, and that's a little bit of a struggle, I think, for Mars early on. You can always rebuke away the Batrider, and you can, of course, spear it back, so we should not see a solo kill, but both off or mid laners should just farm, and that does mean that Analog is going to get a blisteringly fast boost of travel speed. I think that's where, while Analog is farming, it's going to be wholeheartedly up to Gunnar to make those side lane rotations, get those early kills. It's a little bit of a struggle, though, when it comes to ganking both the PL and the SK. Of course, they have inherent ways of getting out. It feels like you might need to have a setup coming in from your side laner, so that way that arena does come out. But we'll have to see, because Gunnar needs to play a very tight game, and I think then things get a lot easier for four zoomers. Then the blink dagger on Mu isn't going to matter nearly as much. Then Costabile gets space for Roche. But until then, I think that's where it's actually Hokori who can take those early fights just a little bit easier, especially pre 10 minutes.
Hmm. There we go. We'll see how that one plays out. As we are getting ready to go here, unfortunately, we do have a pause right at the start of the match here for a disconnected player, as Yuma needs a little bit of time here. So we'll wait to get him back in. In the meantime, though, competing smokes coming out from the two sides. We'll wait to see, though, if these are smokes for, actual initiation or first blood purposes, or if this is just a play to get some vision down. Considering, well, I was gonna say considering what they've got right now, I don't really know if four zoomers are gonna look for that play. Although if they do get all five in there, they can take down just about anybody.
Yeah, and I think that's where Hokori, they've got the again that long range initiation. They can sit a little bit further back. They can perhaps wait on those ramps for their opponents to get close. Where four zoomers really need just the instant stun from the Nyx assassin, and then maybe everything lines up for Gunnar to get a spear. But Gunnar probably doesn't even want spear. He probably just wants to get the rebuke. Doesn't want to mess up his lane too hard. But looking across the four zoomers heroes, actually, there's so little regen. Everybody just doesn't have tangos, doesn't have stats. It's really just Husky and Zephyr. They're gonna keep them up in the laning stage until they get that bounty gold.
Yeah, that is a little bit risky, especially if they are looking for a fight here early on. But if they're not, if they can secure those runes and sort of keep themselves safe, then the maybe slight greed could certainly work out for them. Because as you said, once the bounty gold comes in, well, then you can just sort of
Tangos
make
for
up for,
days.
yeah, anything that you were missing in the first place. But Hokori, this is a bit of a strange one. This is a long wrap through the bottom lane, not even going through the jungle, just in case. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure if there's anything that they can hit here. They can get into position on the ramp, but really the only one close enough to get jumped in on is Mu, and he's not really taking that bait at the moment.
Yeah, and I feel like we should know about this ward if we're Hokori. I'm not certain that a smoked hero actually placed it, and of course Hokori got their ward down first, so you'd almost assume that they know where this placement is, but that's also where Analog is playing with fire a little bit here. We've seen these TAs play on the bounty runes, and okay, he's gonna back off, rightfully so, but oh, arrow actually whiffed.
Mm,
That
Try
was
harder.
I think a little bit of miscommunication there. Theokiller wasn't ready to send it flying after the burrow strike.
yeah, if that arrow connects, I think they could have just really kept that chase going. Instead, well, they've got to pull back. It's a little bit of damage onto an LC who, again, did not purchase up any regen at the start of this, so may have to get a little bit of help over from that Phoenix, but overall should be just fine. As we get the laning stage underway here, and taking a look at this bottom lane first, you see Mu going to work with the overwhelming odds. It feels like for a lot of the early stages of this game, that's really the only play he's going to have to try and hit that Phantom Lancer out.
Yeah, it's a lot of good early damage, especially if Yuma possibly makes the mistake of getting Phantom Rush at level 2, then we could certainly see four Zoomers get very aggressive, just having both of the Z-Freak spells to back up that LC, but That's also where Mu always does this. He always gets, I think, 2-0-2, especially in lanes where he doesn't have to be concerned about any of the opposing spells or dot. And unfortunately, he can't do anything about the Nature's Grasp, but he's able to do that. Yeah, I'm looking top. Gostabile in solo.
Hmm. Pressured up a little bit here early, and that TA always has to be careful. This combo, it's frankly not that hard for them to put together. Burrow into arrow, as long as the timing is right, is going to be there every time. It's just without the levels, I don't know if they have the damage to really follow that combo up enough to actually secure a kill, but they could burn through Kasabile's regen pretty quickly. But for now, looks like the Olacor's emphasis with the arrow is just taking that range creep and trying to maintain some control over the lane itself. But now the Impale from Husky, well, onto the Mirana, and they don't have a secondary stun to follow it up, but the meld is going to hit hard. The Olacor dropped low.
Yeah, it's very obnoxious, and honestly, if they keep on finding those nifty plays, then they're going to be just fine. But that's also where in the draft, I love the Nyx Assassin versus the Bat Rider. I can respect that counter pick in itself, but it's also where I think this is probably the weakest TA lane we've seen so far. And the Nyx Assassin, it keeps balancing the lanes. You know, you get your one ranged hero, one melee hero to kind of even things out, but without anything like the Ogre, it does propose the question whether or not this Nyx Assassin is actually a good 5, and it's a little bit rough. But yeah, bottom, he got Phantom Rush. They got level 2. Immediately punished. I'm really surprised Yuma let that happen to him, to be honest.
Maybe he was just trying to play it out a little bit greedy, thinking he could get level 3 before he would be punished, and he did get close, but obviously not quite close enough as he does get picked off there, and that is a fantastic first blood play for Zoomers. I was assuming Yuma was going to sort of play it safe and not be in a whole lot of trouble outside of the occasional overwhelming odds Duke, but that does maybe turn this lane a little bit more in Moo's favor. He's going to feel more confident now that he's got that first kill on the board.
Yeah, and it's honestly a hero that you do not want to start losing levels behind. It's where suddenly you don't really want to make those trades anymore, and then stuff gets a little bit ugly, but we'll have to see, because as soon as he has those bracers and possibly even looking out the phase boots, the PO is really just going to get right-clicked up. Honestly, though, we'll see, because Mu still needs the Soul Ring. He's still very mana-dependent, if anything, and whenever he doesn't have mana, Yuma can just farm.
Yeah, when he doesn't have to worry about that nuke, there's not a whole lot to be done against him. So Yumo has that to fall back on, and even with the early death, you take a look at his last hit count, he's sitting at 17 and 3, 18 now as he grabs that one, so he is really doing just fine. Meanwhile, over in the middle lane, this is a bit of an interesting one, because Gunnar, well, he does have means of trying to keep Analog at bay, right, with the Spear and the Rebuke, but this is a melee hero laning against a Bat Rider that always sort of presents some issues. The Napalm stacks are gonna get up there. Gunnar, though, okay, goes for the Spear play, gets the water. I don't think he wants anything more than that, though, but Analog, look at him go. He is going to continue this chase if he can catch up with that Firefly. Maybe it's enough damage, but the second he gets close enough, Gunnar hits him with a second spear.
No, that is super nice from Gunnar. Steals the water and really resets Analog. And Gunnar is playing like someone is able to meet him here, but I think he's just going to walk Analog all the way back to the fountain. This is a little bit of a funny play, but he's got another spear. Yeah.
Rebuke's up in 2. I think he can get this. He just needs to connect, and there it is.
Wow. Good now.
Analog not really showing enough respect to the damage output from the Mars, and I think he didn't think that Gunnar's going to chase him all the way down the river like that. And well, by the time he figures it out, he also realizes I don't actually have any way to get out of this. I used my Firefly to try and chase after the kill in the first place, so Analog gets played a little bit there.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Gunnar probably has the most solo kills in the entire tournament. He somehow always just finds the kill, no matter what situation he's in, no matter what laning setup. He's just that good. It's honestly scary to see. And now your Mars is level 6, so as soon as he gets his mana fixed, maybe we do see him make that early rotation, and especially if they could make the play bottom whenever the wave is pushing into Mu like it is right now. It's where if Yuma's not careful, that is a 25-second CD on the Doppelganger, and one you have to commit every time Zefrig uses his spells on you, so they can bait that out, then bring the Mars over. I can certainly see them killing that PL for free.
Yeah, it's just a matter of sort of having to hold that Doppel for the right time, but like you said, if Zoomers play their cards right, there could be multiple instances where you need it. within a pretty short time frame. But that is assuming that we actually see that rotation come in right now. And at the moment, Gunner's a little bit
Oh,
busy.
no
He's
way.
dealing with a fight mid as the Olacor. That is the only tree anywhere close to him. And he ends up standing too close as Gunner gets the kill. Analog is gonna commit the lasso there just to make sure he can take down Husky, but now he's trapped in this arena. Z-Freak's rotated his way in. I don't know
Oh,
about this,
no.
but he dodges the spear. Actually, he might be able to turn this around. Gunner, gotta be very careful, but Analog, you are still taking a lot of damage. Because the knockback, though, with that flame break, secures the first kill. Now needs help because he is dropping insanely low. Z-Freak takes him down, but the Phoenix will pay for it. Vitaly and Theolikor are there to clean up the fight, and eventually, that does swing Hokori's way.
Honestly, just if he gets hit by that spear, everything looks clean. He gets to look towards that bottle afterwards. Everything feels nice for the Mars, but it's just that really fast turn rate on the Bat Rider that makes it so hard to spear sometimes. And it's also the increased turn rate from the Napalm that's just brutal. But that's where now, hey, Lasso's on cooldown. Moo doesn't need to be afraid of anything. If he wants to play underneath Yuma's tower, Bat Rider can't rotate anymore. And it looks like instead maybe they look for Gardic, but I honestly think with the cart here, there's no reason that Yuma's able to stick around. They've got the glyph as well, and they
They
just
got the duel.
No
Straight
way.
up duel under the tower. Gardic, he's
That
a
is-
step or two too far away to help.
Oh boy, that was so fast on the tree line. That he had Doppel. He just didn't expect to get dueled as fast as that happened. Now, well, Gardic
Gardic.
is certainly caught here with the spear. Wow, that is a clean rotation from 4 Zoomers into the tower push.
That, I mean, like you said, Yuma just, I think, thought he was going to have more time. Doesn't, obviously, as Moo gets the duel win. And yeah, can they now take the tower? That is going to be the big one. Siege Creep is here to help them out, so they should be able to get this. I mean, the glyph's already been used. I highly doubt anyone TP's back in here to try and defend this, so I think 4 Zoomers may have just straight up taken the lane in one fell swoop.
Yeah, and of course, now that's where Hokori, they're going to be looking at the other side of the map. They're going to be looking for their next play, but unfortunately, Costa Bila is also just very successfully defending his tower. Vitaly's only option right now is really to just pull the creep camp into the large camp and try to out-farm the TA, which he surely can do, but Costa Bila has not skipped a beat, and with this little pressure on him, we've seen what TAs have been able to do, and that's actually
Oh,
the SK bottom.
He's going to just channel out the
Oh,
old
they
look for the
saw him.
kill.
He cut the tree. Dude, Moo is something else tonight.
And now they're going to turn. They've got the spear down. They've got the Impale to follow it up. They're going to take the tower. If Vitaly keeps going... No, okay. They won't get that greedy with it. Vitaly's not going to sort of go charging out from under his now dead tower, but... That's perfect, and as you said, it just takes that little bit of vision, but they spot the SK, and they immediately back away. That's Epicenter basically wasted. They didn't really do much more than hit some creeps with it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, now their PL has kind of been brought under fire because, well, the top lane has not been abandoned. Moo is here, and Yuma's not able to farm it. The hop!
Oh no, they get the duel again. Do they have the damage, though? Not just yet. Yuma gonna survive, but no Doppel, so he might just go down anyway. They can't finish him off, though. They needed one more hit. The Olacor now running interference. Oh, and Yuma. Yuma. Just count your blessings on that one, because he was basically dead to rights with that Tumbler's Toy play. That was impressive stuff for Moo.
Again, it's just Moo kind of running away with things, and, well, he's getting run at now. Again, with the hop, making it even more difficult for Analog. Man, this Tumbler's Toy, he's just using it for absolutely everything, and honestly, in a beautiful effect, but unfortunately for Hokori, you still have this problem where you brought your PL top, he got hit up, he wants to be playing with the SK is, and oh, the arrow, is that enough to save Analog's life? I don't know if it is.
He's gonna get slowed by the trap. He at least gets out of the Supernova, but he can't dodge the duel. Gunner with the Rebuke will bring that duel to an end, and well, Moo gets another one. That's a big one too, because Analog, well, his rotations are a little off the mark so far. 2, 3, and 1, obviously not a bad stat line. He's still got his bots relatively early in the game, but you haven't been able to really use that lasso for more than... I think he used it once to get the kill onto the Nyx Assassin. Other than that, I'm not really sure. So it's been rough going for him compared to Gunner, whose rotations are looking pretty damn clean to this point.
Yeah, he feels comfortable enough to actually go all the way back for this Orb of Corrosion, and we'll see if that works out. It is certainly going to delay his Blink Dagger, but That's also where you look over at Moo, he is just rushing it, and he's only 1,000 gold away. And I think that's where you ask yourself, does Hikori have enough tools in the bag right now to fight for Zoomers, or are they going to have to wait? You look over at the Sand King, who again took over the empty lane bottom, which feels a little bit sad, but he's working towards his Blink Dagger. Is that really going to be enough? It's a naked Blink Dagger, so when it comes to defending these tier 1s, he's not really going to be that beefy frontliner that we so many times see offlaners become early on, just out of necessity of keeping your towers alive just a little bit longer. And there is still the threat of Yuma finishing that Diffusal Blade and then making it nearly impossible for the TA to play, but I think that's also where Analog just needs to be so careful because he's switching up his timings as well. He's looking for this BKB, and of course has a nice pretty ancient stack to farm up to make it seem a little bit faster, but I honestly don't think that we're going to see much from Analog until that BKB happens because they're just way too vulnerable right now. If he goes down again, I feel like they're going to start to lose much more than just this mid tower.
That sort of spot, right? Looking at Analog himself and the Sand King while it's up on Phantom, sir. If the hell isn't really self up, like that Rider's not going to be the same, then you may end up finding yourself playing.
Yeah, and that's also where look at Gunner bottom looking for Gardic. Oh, this would be a sick play if he finds it, but Gardic I'll just place the sentry so they there are so many little plays going across the map here. And of course, that one is just a sentry from Gardic getting the Mars caught out there, but that's still very nice from Analog.
There we go. I am so sorry, folks. I got straight up DC'd there. I think stream might have froze for a second, trying to get back into the game. So yeah, apologies for that. I don't know what happened. Just everything kind of froze. We're getting back in here, so I believe we ended up missing that fight. Apologies, ET, if you could just run us through that one again.
Don't worry, wasn't even a fight. Mars ended up feeding, stuck around a little bit too long with the Invis rune, got killed by Analog. Had to use the lasso though, and now Feliacore is on the run. First Vendetta used, and it looks like Feliacore will be able to get away, but still, big win for Analog specifically. Got all the gold there from the Mars kill, and Gunner is angry.
See him just charging his way forward, looking to make a play onto Theolacore. Good arrow to delay, but delay is the operative word there. He will still end up going down, so... four Zoomers get the kill, and again, folks, apologies. Dota did not agree with me for just a moment there, but we're back in. Don't think we're going to run into that one again, whatever the heck it was. That is strange. Had some internet issues earlier on in this event, but never just straight up getting kicked out of a game before. But either way, back into it. Four Zoomers looking to establish some control here. 2k up on their opponents at the 13-minute mark, and Moo, did he just... He's got something coming out to him here.
It's the big one. It's the big one.
Where's his courier flying? Okay, that was a little weird. It was just flying straight down the middle lane for a little while. Now it's bringing that Blink Dagger over to him, and just as the Blink is completed, they're going to go for the smoke play, looking to make their move. They want another duel win for Moo. Although, honestly, they would just take the kill here rather than the win, but why not search for both as they are maneuvering their way into the jungle? Unfortunately, this move is coming just as Hokori are sort of maneuvering away, but they are going to run into each other. Husky leading the charge, so he is going to get all this vision down, looking for the most valuable target, but before he gets the chance, Vitali makes his move instead, goes in with Yappy. Moo dropping low. They're not able to take him down, but they did get Gunner up with the, with the lasso. The problem is it's just not enough. He was taking DOT from Z-Freak the entire time. And Analog gets taken down. Unfortunately, Hokori... They just get a little bit split up there. Vitali goes in. It's a very nice burrow into the epicenter. The problem is, Analog had already made his move further to the east, so they're not able to combine their firepower.
No, and of course, he got gone on by Husky, and I think that really was the root of the problem. They didn't have sentries, they were colliding with each other, they didn't know what the Nyx was up to, and then everything got very awkward, and ooh, almost a duel onto Vitali there, very close for Moo. He just knew that he wasn't in range, but now on your mid tower, and surprisingly for Hokori, I feel like if Gardex there, maybe they have enough team fight potential to take that engagement, but instead, I think they get turned on rightfully so, and unfortunately, Analog had to use his lasso kind of last second there, so you don't have it for mid, and, well, you don't have your spells, you lose your towers, then that's where, again, Arena up in 25, the Mars continues to be that threat and a constant threat always in your game.
Gunnar is just doing so well right now, sort of making these plays, and he's making these plays. He doesn't have a blink dagger, nothing along those lines to sort of instantly get himself in there. He's just been in the right place at the right time every time. Oh boy, every time they look for a play, but they are going to get onto Gardic here. Duel comes through, easy win for Mu, and now Yuma can't really afford to be here anymore. You push the PL away, you slow up that farming rate again.
Yeah, and of course, it is very, very difficult for Zoomers to find the PL while he's in the camp. That's where maybe they get the vision with overwhelming odds. It's still a 50-50 with the tanky illusion if he does get that doppel off, but it's where if they can ever find Yuma in between camps, it's massive. And same play, they place the sentry, but unfortunately, Vitaly's caught, and I don't know if he's going to get out of this.
Tries to burrow, doesn't get into the river though. He gets to the high ground. This is going to get very awkward as Gunnar throws down the arena. Vitaly's going to get hit by the spear, and Gunnar's going to take him down. That does mean that the Olacore is able to get away, but they get the far more valuable of the two on the 4-Zoomer side.
Yeah, and that's where 4-Zoomers, their full map rotations are still looking really nice here. Every single time we see the SK and the Mirana stop showing on the map, they're always meeting in front of Costa Bile, because the entire reason they're there on Hokori is to look for the TA. They're looking for Costa Bile, but that's where they just bring more heroes beforehand, and then suddenly, well, that's not really a pickoff. That's a team fight, and 2 heroes, that's not a team fight from Hokori. And Costa Bile, he doesn't even know that the Batrider has already left this lane, but he feels comfortable enough to get all the way up bottom. This is a problem that I think Hokori really need to find here, and they're still looking for that BKB on Analog. Once he has it, then, well, that's your counter versus the Mars. But Gunnar also has his Blink, and he's just finding, I think, a few too many picks right now, while this duo of Vitaly and Theliacorp, they're still trying to play, but it's where Gardic is always separated from them. He's always kind of sticking around the PL, trying to be that human ward, but in doing so, it just feels like they don't have enough damage.
Well, it's a fine line that you have to sort of walk here, because if you're Hokori, you want this duo still looking for plays, right? You don't want Vitaly and Theliacorp to be entirely passive, but if they're making these plays and not getting kills, that's one thing. The problem is they're making these plays, and not only are they not getting kills, but in a lot of instances, they've been picked off on top of it. So you're sort of forced into trying to do something as Mu. Oh my god, he was so close there. They'll pop the dust, but that's far too late. But look at how aggressively your LC is playing at this point, right? You have so much confidence in Mu, and Mu has confidence that if he does get a duel down, his teammates are going to be right there behind him.
Yeah, and that's where I think Hokori, if they take this game late, if they go toward or past that 25-minute mark, especially once they have these BKBs, well, there is a timing here. I think that's, however, where 4-Zoomers, this is their moment to force their opponents to fight them at the pit if they wanted to. They have the Deso up on Costa Bile. They really want to. They could force that engagement, and I don't see why they wouldn't at this stage, just because even if you look over at Yuma, just finished off his Mantis now, but no Diffusal Blade. If they do get caught in the pit, it's not like we're going to be on a timer with our mana pools. There's a lot of dodging going out right now, and here's your BKB timing on the Batrider, but Husky scouts it out, and I don't think he's going to necessarily want to lasso him. They're going to want to just kill him off, right? Nice kill.
Okay, good combo. Burrow Strike, Flame Break, Arrow doing the work, so Husky gets taken down, and now McCoy are able to contest this pit without having to commit anything, or without having to commit anything major as Gunnar. That's a very aggressive move, and Analog, he doesn't want to commit the lasso because he sees Mu right there. The second that he goes in for that, it's going to be removed, so oh, it's a very bold play by Gunnar, but he knew that he had the backup he needed to get away after. Ooh.
Yeah, and ooh.
Jumps in, there's the duel. Gunnar comes in for the follow-up damage, and, well, you were already low on HP on the Mirana. You get caught out there. That's just an easy win, and now that opens up the pit once again, as Costabile is going to make his move.
Yeah, and I think just a little bit of greed coming in from Gardic there. That was a word that should have been deworded really on the Nyx kill from before, but instead they just stick around, I think, a little bit too long under Forzoomer's sight, and all it takes is one support pick, and suddenly, well, there's no Aegis. You already used the BKB as well on the Batrider, so it's not like Analog is going to show up here, but as we always talk about, the first Aegis is the most important when it comes to this tier. This gets you your BKB, and, well, Gunner still fine in kills, still fine in picks. Not a duel win, but it also just means they're already out on the map and they're already forcing Hokori heroes back into the base. Oh,
Okay. They're going to go for the solo kill there. I say solo. Analog's coming in to help. Lasso committed. And, well, you have to use 2 ults there, ET, but that's a kill you desperately need right now for Hokori to try and stop the bleeding. So if you've got to commit, then you might as well, because they really didn't have much else to hold those ults for, considering the Aegis is now in Forzoomer's hands.
yeah. And that's where Hokori can hold the line. They can win in almost the same fashion they won the first time around versus Thunder Awaken, where they just look for that later timing. They get their PL built up a little bit further. If he gets one tanky item, then it's a very difficult fight for Costabile to make. And of course, always talk about it. As soon as that Scotty is built up, then there's not really that easy fight. Then you're on a timer. Then the struggles are many, but yeah.
He just dove in. He just goes straight for it. Gunner right behind him. Z-Freak throws out the ult, and that's an easy 2 kills onto Vitaly and Theolacor.
Yep, and that's also, hey, Ag Shard on Z-Freak. Look at that. It's just so much damage, and Analog
Gets to
got
the
caught.
TP. Gunner still has that DD for a bit as well, so they're easily going to be able to get that. That's just massive. Gunner gets all 3 of those kills. Moo gets another duel win, so that damage really starting to stack up here, and, well, at this rate, I mean, they're actually just starting to straight up outscale Hokori. At this point, the PL is going to be a difference maker, ET, but is he going to be enough of one to really swing these fights back their way?
Yeah, that really is the question here, and I think with 4 Zoomers not finding their easy opening onto a tier 2, at the very least, all 3 of those kills were on their side of the map, right? You don't immediately see them running in at the tier 2 towers on Hokori's side. They still have to look for that fight, but I also think that's where they did a really nice job of splitting up here. As soon as they catch Moo with the Baron in the bottom lane, he's just like, oh, I'm going to push in the wave. Costabile, meet me there. We're going to be on the tier 2 now. And I think Costabile has a full BKB completed as well, so it's not like he's really the target either. But this tier 2 is a problem, and one that I think Hokori might even look to sack. I don't know if they should defend this. This is a little bit risky, and even Analog coming down here, don't know if he's going to stick around. Just trying to be annoying, and as annoying as he safely can be, because they do still have the living armor. If they can keep these towers alive, it is a huge delay play. And that's where I think for Zoomers, they're not going to beat their heads against a tower with 20 armor. They're going to look for kills instead.
Are looking for the play. They smoked up, moving back onto their own side. The question is, well, who can they find? Vitaly and Theolacor are still hanging out up here. And, well, that's a problem. They go in onto the blob of illusions, but Moo is still looking. And that Tumbler's toy. Sentry goes down, but it goes down maybe a little bit too late as Theolacor had already walked out of it. But Dust also going to miss. This Mirana's really making him chase, but they did spot... Well, yeah, they did spot him eventually. The duel goes down. Theolacor will fall, meanwhile, further to the south. Vitaly got in some trouble as well, but he was able to TP home.
Yeah, and honestly, as Gardic is also trying, but failing to survive. But hey, you dragged 4 Zoomers around the map quite heavily. This all started to highlight in the bottom lane, and then they end up top. They get 2 support kills, and Yuma escapes. That's a lot of time that I don't know if 4 Zoomers feel necessarily happy about. Costabile does get the tier 1 top, so that's something, but it also poses the question, what would have happened if 4 Zoomers simply swung on the tier 2 mid instead? I feel like that's where this first Aegis, well, it's almost up, and Costabile does have the BKB to slot it out, so it's not like he doesn't have that defensive tool any longer available to him, but it's where Yuma is genuinely becoming a little bit of a problem here. He's not really dying anymore, and he's also not getting caught out. And I think that's where 4 Zoomers, they need to do a little bit of a better job of generating that threat. If Hokori are forced into a team fight, then 4 Zoomers should just wipe the floor with it. But until then, they really are dodging them out pretty nicely.
Yeah, they're buying really a pretty significant amount of time here as we have... well, we have another pause coming out. Still some lag issues. Well, at this point for both teams. So we'll see if we can get Analog back in here quickly and get some of these issues resolved. But for Hokori, well, I don't know, right? As you mentioned, Yuma is becoming a problem. He's building himself up more and more here, but I still feel like you need sort of intermediate plays from the rest of your lineup at this stage to really get you that last little bit of time that you need. Because the PL, he's queued up the hard now, but hasn't really started up on getting any of those pieces yet.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't even know if I like the heart just because I feel like if he gets this, he has a kill threat onto the TA. Then the heal coming in from the Phoenix, it doesn't really feel as potent, but I can also respect just wanting to have this buffer and safety net to play around that surely they're going to need when those big team fights actually happen. And with the heart, hey, he's probably not getting bursted in an arena. It's going to be up to Mu to actually find him with the duel. And really, we haven't seen him get another duel onto Yuma past, I want to say, that first tier 1 push on the bottom lane. And I think that's where he can still play this elusive style. I think back in the Dogchamp game, Stonebank was doing the same thing. If the spells aren't hitting, then suddenly you are very, very problematic, especially once the team fight gets started. It's where four Zoomers, they just simply don't have enough AoE in their draft to actually deal with him. I think that's why Hokori went for the PL, but that's also where time is still the name of the game. And I think if four Zoomers get their next push broken, they might have a little bit of a problem on their hands. With the Aegis timing out, I can definitely picture Costabile possibly dying, just getting blown up with everything showered on top of him. But that's where it's still about Mu. It's still about him finding those press the attacks.
Still going to be relying on that LC to sort of bail them out if they get into trouble, or providing that little bit over the top to get them the kill. But now Aegis has expired. Stabile only on 1 life, so for Zoomers, well, they use the Aegis to maintain their lead. They push across the map a little bit, but I think they were hoping for maybe a bit more of a knockout blow to be delivered while they had that Aegis up and running. Now the fight is going to get that little bit better for Hokori, although will they take that fight before this heart is completed? It really does feel like they've already bought a pretty substantial amount of time. Maybe you just sort of keep going and then bring Yuma in once the heart's up and running and ready to go. But the rest of the lineup are still looking for plays. They make a move onto the mid-tier 1 tower. Nicely done on that front, but still kind of ducking their opponents a little bit, hanging out in this north side jungle instead of maneuvering to the south.
Yeah, and they'd love a tier 2. They'd love to take away this outpost just to get more control. Meanwhile, for Zoomers, they're the exact opposite. They just want to get onto these next objectives. I find it a little bit interesting if they don't stick around to just poke this tier 3 and maybe force the Hokoris back a little bit faster here, because now there really isn't a reason for the cores to return to the base, at least not yet. And that's where I think for Zoomers, would love to see Costabile start to set up some traps, maybe behind the towers or in the lanes a little bit more, just so that way he can really deny them, because he's got his traps really focused around the pit, and that makes sense for whenever they take Roche. But I think that's where there is a little bit of a problem here of the split push coming out, and it's being a little bit too effective right now, as the gold lead has honestly been trickling more and more in Hokori's favor. And Mu, ooh, got that duel.
Vitali, does he want to get involved? Nice burrow strike. Waited until Husky was in position so that he could hit both of them up. Now the Olacor's got to get away. He's going to look for the leap. Now trying to TP. That's a very nice ward, and it gets them the vision, but there we go. Okay. What do we do now, boys? Waiting for the Blink Dagger as Mu gets into position, and the Olacor does get taken down, but at least you lose him after the fact on the duel, so Mu doesn't sort of scale up any harder. As Courier just flew over Analog. They know he's there, so yeah, he's just got to get out.
Yeah, I could have tempted fate there. He knew that the duel was off or on CD there, so he maybe could have stuck around for a creep wave. But again, if there are 3 or 4 Zoomers heroes looking behind their tier 2 near their tier 3, they're not on your towers. And Costabile, it's not like he can just randomly kill a tier 2 without feeling like he's going to get murdered by the rest of Hokori's lineup. And I think that's where four Zoomers, they're not out of this just yet. They need to wait for that next Roach. They need an Aegis to break high ground, though. That much is assured, because otherwise there is that very real possibility of losing the TA early on and then just kind of conceding the fight after it. But that's where this is also a very nice smoke here. Does Gunner feel comfortable enough to use his spells here on the mid wave? They're so ready for this jump.
Okay.
Oh,
Healed
Vitaly got cold feet.
himself. Well, I can understand that a little bit, because as much as Gunnar was sort of a little bit ahead of his teammates, they were still pretty close on the back line, so maybe you jump in and get a little bit caught out there, but, well, I'm not really sure how many opportunities that you're going to have in terms of, like as you said, getting cold feet and sort of passing them up, but for now they will continue to play the waiting game. Yuma has finished the hard, he's now queued up the Scotty, so if he can get that Scotty online, then this PL... well, I mean, he really is going to be a problem. He already potentially is one with that added durability, but with the Scotty, Four Zoomers are not going to be nearly as durable as they charge their way up. The Olakor is going to pop the ult, though, and that forces Husky to miss the stun. They're still going for this, though. They really do want in onto Vitaly, but they're not going to get the latch with that spear. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fight, they jump in onto Move first, trying to bring him down. They didn't get the LC in time, though. Analog took way too much damage. He is trying to get himself away. They are looking to lock him down. Those move blinks forward. The duel comes in. Analog taken down. The Olakor, though, he's going to buy back. Vitaly, meanwhile, is looking to go in with the Epicenter, dishing out a pretty substantial amount of damage as they'll finally kill Moo. They get Husky now as well, but they really do need to get this PL onto his target, trying to spot out that Templar Assassin. Cristabile is just getting burned away, and he is going to fall.
Oh no, and Roche just respawned. And yeah, Z-Freak is... he's got 3 more seconds on his leap. This is still a kill they have to work for, but... oh, it should be ticking out. And look at the pit. Yuma's just in on Roche. There's no reason for him to stop, but Four Zoomers, they just used way too many BKBs, way too many spells early on there, and I think Vitaly being able to rejoin the fight in such a fashion, that looks really nice. And there isn't a sentry. Gardic needs to get over to the pit, and actually he doesn't have a sentry in his inventory, so this trap is going to give Gunnar everything. If he goes for the steal, he could get it all, but he needs to really be careful here. And, oh, he's going to spoil it. Gunnar's so afraid. He needs to kind of dodge out here, and he also needs to gamble on them not having a ward up on the high ground, and a gamble that he will win, but... oh, nope, there's the urn. And now Gunnar...
he didn't actually blink into the pit. He just got to the outer edge. Now Gardic's going to deploy the ult, catching Husky out as well. And somebody... there we go. Yuma's going to pick up the Aegis.
Oh, no.
They get 1 kill onto Husky. Gunnar is trying to get away. He'll look for the TP home, but the Yules is there to cancel it. Not going to be able to escape. Gunnar, it's a play that you have to try, but it's not going to work out for him. At least if you're Four Zoomers, you did get the kill gold for Roshan, but that really doesn't matter, because now Yuma, he is coming at you. He's got the heart, he's got the Aegis, he ate the shard as well, so he's got that upgraded lance. And ET, it feels like Four Zoomers, they may have just sort of waited a little bit too long to make that move. And I was asking before, can the PL be enough of a difference maker? So far, the answer appears to be absolutely.
Yeah, and now, I mean, once he gets the Scotty, gets to slot his Wraith Band, he's really not hard-pressed at all. And I think that's where Four Zoomers, you need to find the backline, you need to find Vitaly, you need to find Analog, if anyone, first. And I think that's where, unfortunately for them, they're the team that breaks the pressure, all of the pressure on the map at the same point. They use everything, they don't get the Sand King initially, and then they just kind of lose the fight afterwards. Not to mention, that was, I think, the shortest Roshan timer. So Four Zoomers make that smoke play not even realizing the risk of losing Roche pretty much instantly. And of course, if that team fight looks a little bit better for them, they just go into the pit, they get the complete role reversal, and then we see them on the Hokori side of the map pushing tier 2s. But this is really a nightmare situation, because now in your carry matchup, there's no way to fix this. Costabile is trying to get a Daedalus, and he will finish it pretty soon, but more damage is not your solution to the PO. It's finding him first before the fight, and I think that's where we need a little bit more here from Gunnar and Husky coming forward. Otherwise, if he gets away, then the illusions start coming, then the Doppel starts tanking all of the damage, and, well, Yuma's got a Scotty. So these fights need to be incredibly short. Four Zoomers have a 10-second window for winning the first fight, and then if they don't, then they're going to get stuck out versus the PL.
Yeah, and, I mean, especially considering Yuma, he is going to be strong enough to just sort of stand on that front line right now, but it's not just the problem with Yuma himself. If you need to deal with the Phantom Lancer for that much time, that means heroes like Analog and Vitaly can go in, throw out the first round of spells, and at that point, you're still dealing with the Phantom Lancer. Maybe those heroes can then back out, reset, go in again, and that's where you will run into massive issues with these team fights. So it's not just how do we deal with the PL? It's now how do we deal with the amount of space he's making for everyone else?
No, it's a massive problem, and well, the smoke. This is the crazy wrap, and they will kind of give up their position here with the position on the tier 2. But oh, if he found Kustabile,
KB's coming out. Moo looks for the duel that'll lock Analog down. And I do believe, yeah, they're going to be able to get that kill, but Yuma, he's still going to work. He's trapped up in the arena now, and, well, it looks like the plan from Zoomers is just ignore him and go after everyone else, and it's working so far. Analog dead. We'll get Vitaly as well, but now Yuma comes into play. Vitaly actually going to commit a buyback there, but he's not going to be able to immediately rejoin the fight, which means Yuma is really just fighting with the two supports, and they are going to be able to get a very big kill onto Costabile there. Now, though, they need to track down more. Husky trying to buy time with Carapace. Looks like it's going to work for the time being, but Yuma's still looking. Gardic now gets into the trees. They'll spot Husky. They'll root him up. The arrow comes in as well, so they should be able to find that kill. But Yuma, he didn't even stop. He's looking for more. He wants in on the Z-Freak. They're going to take down the Phoenix. And that fight initially looks a little bit rough for Hokori, but the PL is really just able to pull them through. They do have to commit a buyback on the Sand King, but they pull through. They take the fight. Are they in a position to push any objectives, though? Because their creep wave, yeah, it's all the way back at the tier 1 tower.
yeah, it's gonna take a little bit longer for them to actually get this tier 1, and honestly, a tier 1 that 4 Zoomers are happy with trading away because they get that glyph back, but it's the same situation, and I honestly think Moo made the right call there, dueling up the Bat Rider, making sure he doesn't get that Flaming Lasso off. That's how it's not a wash in the fight, but again, they have to use all 3 of their BKBs before the overgrowth hits. Then Garnet comes in, stuns everybody up. Moo can only press the attack 1 hero, and then suddenly you still have this situation where post BKB, Costabile is absolutely helpless, and there's no solution for him in this game. He's just been hung out to dry, really, from his team at this point, and it's where suddenly now you're not playing TA from ahead. You're playing behind this PL, who now has 3,000 net worth on top of you. And this is the backbreaker right here. Once you get this butterfly, well, all that damage that you were hoping to pour out onto him, Yuma's really no longer killable. You have to look for absolutely everyone else and then get that nightmare situation where it's Yuma versus the world. But I'll be honest, if it's Yuma versus the world, I kind of think he wins at this stage.
Yeah, that really only works if you can actually take down that big bad hero at the end of it. And Costabile, I mean, a Hurricane Pike is going to be nice for his own mobility, but that really doesn't help you much in terms of getting in there and actually killing off that Phantom Lancer. So they don't really have great solutions at the moment, and Hokori, I think, are really starting to realize that Yuma is not quite unkillable, but about as close as you could reasonably get. And see, yeah, now they're going to look to make the play. 5-man smoke. There is a counter smoke on the other side from 4 Zoomers, though, so we'll see, well, if they meet and where. Hokori are making the wraparound through, oh, really a very long path here, actually. They're just not going to run into anything at this rate.
Yeah, and Boots of Bearing are completed by the Phoenix, so hey, that's your ability to walk off the Diffusal Blade, worst case scenario, but I think that's where both teams whiffing here. It's going to favor Hokori, again, a little bit more just because they can go out and deal with the split push a little bit easier. They have the Boots of Travel, they have the side lane pushers, and I think that's where 4 Zoomers, they kind of need the dodge out the fight. I don't think they really wanted that nightmare engagement just yet, but that's where, well, pre-pressure is on 4 Zoomers. They're going to lose this bottom tier 2 for free, and they don't have Glyph. So if you really wanted to on Hokori, they could force him back. They're really looking for someone to make a mistake here on the Hokori side, though. They're looking for someone just very casually walking up to this triangle. They're keeping the ramp control, and they actually use another smoke. They're looking in deep now at bottom. This is smart, because they know someone has to come mid, so they're looking for the alien hero bottom, but this also needs to land. This is so much time that 4 Zoomers is effectively doing nothing.
And in the meantime, take a look at that Phantom Lancer just finished off that butterfly, so, well, they're not going to get anything. Everyone TP's out in time, so 4 Zoomers, they cross the entirety of the map with their first smoke, don't find anything, smoke again, go all the way back over to the other side of the map, and still don't get anything, and we're going to have more smokes. Okay. Hokori,
And
can anybody actually get a smoke gank at this point, ET? That's what, 4 or 5 that have been used now between the 2 squads, and haven't really seen any actual fighting.
no, yeah, we're on number 4, and honestly, this is smart from Hokori because 4 Zoomers placed the vision thinking that's where they are, and I really feel like Forzuma should be ready for this collision course, but, well, there's the egg. They need to help it.
The assistance is coming in, but not in time. Zefreak taken down. They got a duel onto Yuma, though, but they can't finish him off. And now with the epicenter going, there's just too much damage. Muga's taken down, buying back immediately. They're still in onto those heroes, though, as Vitali will fall, but it really is Yuma that they have to deal with, and they haven't been able to do so just yet. But Mu rejoining the fight, looking for the damage, trying to get that PL dead. He's got the doppelganger to work with, though, so he's going to be able to reset, turning around, getting the illusions out as Gunnar is just getting slowed to hell. So many buybacks coming into play as Gardic and Zefreak will both buy back, but again, you have to deal with Yuma. They do get a nice stun onto him, but where is that lockdown? Doppelganger coming in again, looking to push in onto Costabile, dropping the TA low, taking the TA down. They'll finish off Husky as well. Mu just can't really get anything. He's got 10 seconds for the duel, but I don't know if he's going to even live that long at this point. His BKB is starting to run out of time, and he needs to get away, but he is in a bit of a rough spot. But Gunnar pushes in, Satanic active, heals all the way up to full, but again, Yuma is not going down. The man just will not die. Gunnar is the one who's going to lose this fight, and up to the north, the duel, it's applied onto Theolacor, but that's going to cost him his own life, and that was a dieback on your Legion commander. They've got nothing left. It's Zefreak alive, and that's actually it. Everyone else either is on cooldown or doesn't have the money for buyback.
No, it's huge, and honestly, Yuma, he took so much damage from the initial duel, from the initial Spirit Vessel coming in from Zefreak, from the damage from your Mars, but unfortunately, Costabile is nowhere in sight. He doesn't have a way to get onto it. He wasn't able to do any damage while the real Yuma was actually stunned up there, and then Yuma just gets to kind of muddle his way through the rest of the fight on 1500 HP. Forzumers don't have the burst to actually take him out. It's a super sad situation, and then Hokori also just get to hold him at arm's length. They keep him back with the lasso, and, well, there's going to be your Phoenix going down as well. That's going to be a dieback. He just throws out the egg because he knows, and it will not get off. Man, oh man. It looked so close, too, because they hit the Impale, the follow-up Impale from, I want to say Husky, and it hit 3 heroes. It looked great for 4 Zoomers, and then everything just falls apart, and that's where, unfortunately, when the spells aren't hitting, the Legion Commander Mars run out of damage. They don't have enough to kill the PL. Yuma's just run away with the game, and I think we might see the GG pretty soon here. There's no way they can get Megas right now, but I also don't think there's any reason for Yuma to stop.
Yeah, he really doesn't have to be all that afraid of anything on the Forzoomer side at the moment, as you see him just take the entire bottom lane of Rax. He will back himself away now, but at this point, ET, if you're 4 Zoomers, you're going to have at least one more shot at this, right? You got your lineup coming back up. Your buybacks are basically going to be non-existent, but you will get an attempt at it. The thing is, they know how close they were to killing off Yuma, right? They were right on the cusp of taking him down, so maybe that's enough to have them feeling confident, have them thinking, you know what, if we get one last shot at this, maybe we can get it going, especially if Costabile is in position this time, but this is going to be basically your last attempt. If they don't either draw or straight up win this fight, I think that might just be the end for them.
No, and it's also where Hokori, they're taking the safe route, right? There were 2 supports still dead back on 4 Zoomers, but they want to drive their opponents out near the pit, and,
They got
well, that's an expensive lasso.
They got in onto Husky. Can they lock him down? Yes, they can, so they will get that first kill. Husky does not have his buyback available, but they really do want to get onto that TA. They know who their target needs to be. The epicenter comes into play now as well. Costabile just gets absolutely blown up. He will buy back, but will he get to the fight in time? Because his teammates, they're just getting absolutely bum rushed. They're dead on Gunnar. They'll lose Mu as well. Gunnar popping an immediate buyback of his own, but there's no more fight. It's already over. You get your cores back in, but I'm not really sure there's anything they can do now. And Zefreak,
no.
the jump away, still getting slowed up though, and he is so low in HP. He's just going to pop the ult. Vitali though comes in with the Burrow Strike that's going to lock down the Mars, but they really can't get onto the egg this time. Vitali, however, did dodge out the actual Supernova stun. The Spear's not enough damage to kill him, and now Gunnar is just going to get locked down again. He has no means of getting away from the PL, and that's it. That's the GG.
Yeah, and I think that's where 4 Zoomers, they have to be kicking themselves a little bit here. What a clean early game from them. Honestly, for the longest time, they were running everything they needed to do. They were getting the picks in the side lanes, and then everything just ceased. I think that's where Hokori, they were giving away a lot of their early aggression and their early game potential by just sticking Gardic next to the PL, but hey, Yuma's the one that won you the game, right? It's a worthwhile investment for them, and I think that's where 4 Zoomers, if they don't win the fight in the first 7, 8 seconds on that initial break with the Vendetta, it's just impossible to fight. They just have to use their BKBs so early every single time, and after the fact, they just run out of everything. And I think that's where this TA Mars opener definitely started to feel just a little bit weaker. And it comes back to that first Aegis. I simply think 4Zoomers didn't get enough done in an effort to try and kill their opponents. They just couldn't keep the game focused on those objectives, where Hokori, they just never gave you an honest fight. And then 30 minutes into the game, they kill you with their first big team fight and they get an Aegis. It's just a nightmare for 4Z.
Yeah, you take a look at the graphs at the end of that game. It was looking pretty good for 4Zoomers quite a long way through, but you can see right about here. This is 26, 27 minutes in. You've got a stretch of 5 minutes where that lead is just about static, maybe even slightly shifting back towards even. That's where the momentum really peters out, and 4Zoomers are never able to recapture it. So, nicely done by Hokori. This is actually a far cry, ET, from the way that the group stage series went. That was basically whoever takes the lead first kind of holds it throughout. So, Hokori able to break that trend with some very patient play as they get the win in game one.
Yeah, and we'll see, because Hokori as well, we haven't seen them run it back with their Kunkka yet. We also saw them pick TA both times in their previous series versus 4Zoomers, but that's also where I think 4Zoomers really need to, I think, rethink the balance in their lineup. We had some really great heroes, we had some really good choices, and we had a good early game. It really was just kind of their lack of, I think, initiation, and their energy levels just kind of petered out there. They just didn't really feel like they were gunning for those crazy fights, and then they kind of lose because of that. And then Yuma just has the perfect counter pick for you. So Takori did a nice job draft wise, but I think honestly, switch it up again for 4Z.
Yeah, we'll see what adjustments that they make. They're going to need to now on the brink of elimination, going down 0-1 in this series. So we shall see what the Game 2 draft has in store. We're about 10 minutes out from the start of that one here, so we will be stepping away for just a moment, but when we return, we'll see if 4Zoomers can fight their way back into this, or if Hokori are going to clean sweep it to move on to the next round. Stick around, right back.